Thank you very much, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, Excellency Gladstone Brown, Sheriff CARICOM, colleagues, excellencies. I'm honored and pleased to be participating in this dialogue this morning. Africa and the Caribbean are no stranger to each other. As expressed by my colleagues, the bonds that exist between us are based on blood, history, and culture. These ties are strong and enduring. Our regions represent creative and dynamic forces within the international community. As such, there is no reason why we should not initiate greater socio-economic collaboration. The onus remains on us to forge a path forward based on shared interests and common objectives. Excellencies, this historic meeting occurs on the eve of two critical global events, the UN General Assembly and COP26. It is therefore an opportune time for us to determine some common ideas and messages which we wish to convey to the global community. For us, the global pandemic awakens the harsh reality of the differentiating treatment between a developed and developing world. It also reemphasizes that fundamentally, it is the developing world that suffers the most under these circumstances. I'm therefore of the view that this forced collaboration must address the COVID-19 pandemic and recovery, climate change, mitigation and adaptation measures, food security, and costs of commodities and transportation. COVID-19 pandemic and recovery requires from us urgent action. In relation to the pandemic, we must have a forceful message on issues relating to rescheduling of loans, debt financing, access to capital in our rebuilding efforts, and an evaluation of the global vaccination system, along with its failure to respond to the most vulnerable in the world. Climate change is a serious threat, which is exacerbated and further weakens us. Developing countries like Guyana and our sister states in the Caribbean and Africa are facing great difficulties. We have not been historically responsible, but we suffer the greatest and are least equipped to respond. Our countries are bearing the brunt of increasing and more intense climate-related events. We must, therefore, collectively advocate for greater financial flows to help us adapt to the impacts of the climate emergency, including through the establishment of a global vulnerability fund. The largest polluters in developed countries, which have already achieved economic diversification by transferring much of their natural assets into commercial activities, carry a greater responsibility in this respect. Here in Guyana, we remove Guyana's economy to better deliver socio-economic benefits to our people by following a low-carbon path, while mainstreaming climate resilience, providing a model to the world of how low-carbon, low deforestation, climate-resilient development can be possible and beneficial for forested countries. We must also emphasize a compensation system for the blue economy and safeguard the biodiversity. The pandemic has reawakened our vulnerability to food supply, the fragility of our markets, and sensitivity to price changes. It is therefore essential that issues surrounding food security, supply, and availability form an important part of our actionable agenda. We suffered immensely from the fallout in the rising costs of commodities and transportation services during the pandemic. We must therefore address these issues through a common theme, as we, the developing economies, will find it even more difficult to cope with and rebuild post-COVID. Having regards for all the above, achieving the SDGs as outlined in Agenda 2030 is severely threatened, and we must all point this out to the global community. Guyana looks forward to a sustained and strengthened relationship between the Caribbean and Africa. We pledge our wholehearted support to ensuring the success of this endeavor. Africa and the Caribbean are no stranger to each other. We are brothers and sisters. Economic integration must be driven by people, technology, policies, and partnership aimed at one objective, the prosperity of all our people. I thank you.